Midnight Movie Talk is underway on this Thursday night. We have a lot to get to. First, I haven't been talking about my soccer jerseys that I wear. I should say football jerseys, for those of you overseas. Tonight, I have Club Social. It's Guatemalan. I have dug deep into the closet to find this one tonight. I kind of like it. It's got a Pepsi logo on there, too. We'll see if we can get up and see it later. But let's talk about what's going on in the movie world. And we start with Sonic 2. Sonic 2, I just saw it, sat through it. It's too long. Let's just get right to it. It's 2 hours long. It is too long. It is more of what we saw in the first time, back in 2020. It's only been 2 years since the original came out and really did great numbers. I mean, it made $58 million opening weekend. A lot of people thought it was going to tank because, remember, they had the first Sonic, and they didn't like how he looked. The CG was all whack, and they said, let's go back in and remake Sonic and redo all the CG. They had to push that thing back. Paramount did. And then they strike gold by putting this thing out literally weeks before we closed down the world. You go back and look, it was early February, right? So it came out in early February, made $58 million. And then it went up to 70 and beyond and beyond. And then all of a sudden it just goes wham. It drops off a cliff because that's when we shut theaters down. And Sonic was in theaters when we closed all the theaters and everyone was told to stay home. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to talk about Sonic. We have Sonic 2 now, 2 years later. And listen, if you like the first one, it's more of the same, okay? But here's the issue with Sonic 2. Primarily, it's very simple. This movie really, at that hour 30 mark, just becomes unbearable. It is a CGI overload orgy of effects that is to the point where you just want to get up and leave. I looked at my watch. I was like, my God, we still have another half an hour of this. And Jim Carrey's doing his thing in a giant robot from like Monsters and Aliens. Remember that animated film from years ago? He's doing that in Sonic's attacking, and we've got Knuckles and we've got Tails. We have all that crap, okay? I think I'm just beyond this movie at this point. For some of you, you're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. If you like the first one, it's more the same. I just think that we had a fun time the first time, and now it's diminishing returns. We see it so often with sequels, right? How often is the sequel better than the first? Very, very rarely. And in this case, it is not better than the first. In fact, it really takes a lot out of you by the time you are done with it. I was very happy to say this film was over. My grade for this film is a 65%. So I'd give it a 6.5 out of 10. I like to do it out of 100. I used to do 100%. So let's do it to 65%, which is a D. For me, listen, audiences are going to like this, especially families who have not had anything to go see for weeks. And when we talk about box office with Sonic 2, you're talking about a film that is the first family film at the multiplex in months. I mean, you got to go back to Encanto and to Sing 2. We should have had Turning Red. As you know, Disney said, no, we're going to put that on Disney Plus, and you guys can just have no movies that are for families in theaters. The Batman was not a family movie. We know that. So now you're here with Sonic 2, which is all about timing when it comes to these films. And we have not had a family film for months. People are ready to go with their kids to go to the movie on a Saturday afternoon. So what you're going to see this weekend with Sonic 2 is it's going to do better than the original, $58 million. Let's put it at 65. Easy 65. Okay, $65 million for 3 days. And it likely will go higher. What this film will do is crazy numbers on Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon. Those family times that people want to go and they have nothing else to do between soccer practice and dinner, and they run out to see Sonic 2. That's why this film is going to do well. It's the first family option in the marketplace in forever. And that is very important when it comes to films that outperform, which is exactly what's going to happen here with this. And as we talk about box office, another thing that's going to happen this weekend, Everything Everywhere is going to expand. It did a platform release. We used to have these all the time where a studio, A24, Focus, Neon, smaller studios, Searchlight, they would put a movie in New York, LA, okay, for the first opening weekend, and they get a really great number because it was only in, say, 3 screens in New York, 3 in LA. So the per theater average was massive because you only had 3 choices in each of those major hubs of moviegoers. And now you're seeing this again finally deployed. We have another of these platform releases. And so Everything Everywhere All at Once is going to expand now to 1,000 screens, which is still not huge. It's not like Sonic at over 4,000, but still 1,000 for A24. It's a big number, and you've seen it do really well over the last 2 weekends. 10 screens the first weekend, I think 38 or so the second weekend, and then as we go on here now to 1,000. It's going to be really curious to see how this film holds up as it expands, because once you get outside of those cinephilic cities, New York, LA, Chicago, San Francisco, the major cities, how will Everything Everywhere do in Dallas? How will it do in my hometown, Columbus, Ohio? These are the kind of places, middle America, middle of Kansas. How is this film going to perform? I don't, obviously it's not going to perform as well as it does in LA and New York. That's where the true cinephiles are, people like myself, people like you, that go to everything and you want to see these A24 films. And frankly, as we talk about, I'm not a huge fan of Everything Everywhere. I think it's got a lot of great elements to it, but really is brought down by the fact that it's too much. It's an overload. It really is all at once. And if it were just a little bit dialed down, I would love it so much more. But I still would watch Everything Everywhere All at Once before I watch Sonic 2 again. So there's the ranking there of this weekend's 2 biggies. The other one is Ambulance. Okay, so Ambulance is coming out. That's going to be curious too, in that how is Jake Gyllenhaal going to write a picture? I mean, it's really up to him to open this thing. It's Michael Bay, but it's really about Jake Gyllenhaal, who typically, if you look at his last several releases, he is more of an ensemble guy, right? He's had his leads. There's no question about it, but he has not had to prove, to put it up, right? Put forth what you have. Can you open a film? And that's what we're going to find out this weekend with Jake Gyllenhaal with Ambulance. It's got to hit at least 10 million. So if it hits 10 million, that's still, considering how much publicity that Universal's thrown at this thing, and they've thrown a ton of cash at Ambulance, it should be higher than that, but 10's the low number. Anything below 10 is going to be a loss, a total no-go for Universal. So look for Ambulance and what that number is going to be. I think really at the end of the day, the state of the box office is this. It's good. It is strong. The state of movie-going is back. 120%. It is back, and people are back in the marketplace. And I think that's really the proof is you're going to see it this weekend. You're going to see it with Sonic 2. You're going to see it even with Everything Everywhere that's going to do a decent number, and Ambulance. If that outperforms, if that hits like closer to 15, I don't think it will, but if it does, if it hits closer to 15, then that tells you you're really ready to pop. But Sonic is going to take advantage of that no family films for months. That's what's going to happen this weekend. Let's go over some comments here. I got a bunch of them here. Let's do it. Northman reviews got me even more hyped. I'm curious about that, Vault of the Future. Here's what I think. I'm a little bit leery of the Northman reviews. I talked to someone who saw the film and didn't issue a social review because they weren't as hyped on the film as you're seeing a lot of these people. I'm curious, and I talked about this on Twitter, and we'll discuss it right now. Focus flew a bunch of journalists from the United States or wherever, let's just use the U.S., journalists from the United States. They flew them to London for the premiere of The Northman. Here's the truth of that. When you take a trip and you go to a junket or to the premiere, which is usually tied to a junket, you are getting paid essentially by the studio, okay? Because you're taking a plane flight, you're taking hotel, you're taking per diem, you're taking whatever else. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not suggesting there is, but what I will say is this. It is harder for you as a journalist to hammer a film if you just got an all expenses paid trip to London. Not for everybody, but I'm telling you, it will be harder for some. And the other fact is this, is if You get flown to London and you're there and you go to the premiere and you come out of the film and you really didn't love The Northman, okay? Let's say you like some of it, but overall you're down on it. You can't come out and say that. You can. You can. I would. But guess what's not going to happen next time? You're not going to be taking that next flight to Rome, to wherever the next premiere is, because the studios want to pack those first screenings with people that love the film. It makes sense. If you're a restaurant and you want to have people come into your restaurant, you want to pack it full of people that are going to be kind to your cooking. Okay, that's what studios are doing. I don't blame them for doing this, but my point is let's see about The Northman. I love Eggers. I'm very hyped for it too. Vault, super hyped. But I want to see when it gets seen by people that are not as invested, let's just say. So I can't wait to see it. I'm very much looking forward to it, and I hope it is as good as everyone says. But my main concern is that with most of those social reactions, it was very pointed about very specific things, such as cinematography. We know that an Eggers film is going to have really exceptional cinematography, that you don't even need to say that. Like, there's just no point to even bring it in. Of course, you're going to say it, but come on. What did you expect? What did you expect from an Eggers film? Shitty cinematography? No, you expect it to be good. Or let's just say stellar, because that's what he is going to give you. So you know you have that. So tell me something beyond that. Does the film work cohesively? I don't know. I'm going to find out soon. I'm looking forward to it too. Let's go to the cinema score for Sonic 2. It'll be high. It'll be, I would say, A-, because this is McDonald's filmmaking. It is easily consumed. It tastes okay going down, but for the average person with a semi-operating brain that wants just a little bit more out of their films, this is not going to be that. But, this is why Sonic 2 is going to do well in Indianapolis. I'm going to bash my hometown. I love it. Columbus. Wherever. It's good because that's just like middle America. This is a perfect film for that. And there's nothing wrong with these films. I'm just saying I want more out of my films. When I sat through Sonic 2 today, I was just like, why did I do this to myself? There's just a few bright spots where you see something interesting within the film. One time there's like a dance-off in Siberia, in a Siberian bar. That was semi-interesting, but that's it. That's the only thing I can even think of in the 2-hour runtime that I was like, kind of like, okay, well, this is fun. So I still think, though, cinema score will be high. It'll be good. The average person will like the film, and Paramount's going to have another hit on their hands. There's no question about it. It's critic proof, too. And I'm sure most critics are going to be high on it. I would not be surprised on that. This month really feels like the pre-pandemic days where every week there was a movie to discuss. We're finally back. Julian, we're finally back in the marketplace. It's 100%. I mean, the truth is let's be real. People are done being freaked out by COVID. They are wherever you go. I mean, I'm out here in LA. I was out last night at Hamburger Mary's. It's a awesome little establishment down in West Hollywood. They have a bingo night. It was insane. And I was sitting there in the middle of this, and it's bingo, and there's like 100 and some odd people, and it's at least over 100 people in this restaurant. No masks, no nothing, and nobody was acting. You could have been back in 2018. And I think that's where we're at. We are no longer concerned. There is a segment of the population that will continue to live an altered life. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what they want to do. But I'm telling you, the average person doesn't. The average person has moved on, and they are going to movies. That's why I sent that tweet this week that was like, show me somebody that said movie theaters will never exist again. They're dead. No, they're not. They're back. And people have bounced back because they're resilient. And we've lived it for 2 years. 2 years. The length it took for us to get from Sonic 1 to Sonic 2, that's COVID. And now we're back to where we were in 2019, 2018. We just are. Go out wherever you are. Even if you see people in masks, you're still going to see them in the movie theater. There was some masks, some not masks in the movie today. It's LA. I imagine in other places it's probably way smaller than that. Some more, back to the Northman, flown to London, exactly. Focus flew in a whole bunch of journalists to go to the premiere. Nothing wrong with it. It's cool. It's great. It's a cool perk. But you can't let the trip to London overshadow your review at all. I mean, 0%. 0%. It cannot have any impact on what you're talking about when you say this film and you're breaking it down and you're evaluating it. It can't. If it does, you are corrupt. You've been corrupted. You took a gift and you're not going to say the truth. Behind me, I have a bunch of FYC screeners. You see them all, right? These are sent by the studios to me, and a lot of these films I love. Some of them maybe not as high on, but there's never been anything that I ever received from a studio, and I have a whole chest out there full of crap, okay, scripts and all kinds of stuff. Never once has Netflix sent me something such as the Two Popes slippers that made me like the film more or less. I love the Two Popes. The slippers are cool, but it doesn't affect my grade and how I evaluate a film. That's called being objective and trying to be a journalist in this. Even though we are talking about films, you still have to stay objective. And I hope that people are able to do that. I'm not saying that everyone isn't able to do it. I'm just saying it is worrisome to me that it's part and parcel. It's quid pro quo. You've heard that, right? This for that. There's a lot of that in this business. There just is. Because let's just go further down the rabbit hole, and we'll come back to you, Volt. You need an invite to go to a screening, okay? So if you want to see, let's say, Doctor Strange 2, and you're looking for Disney to send you an invite to see it early so you can get on YouTube and talk about your movie first. You can get the first Doctor Strange 2 review on here. You have to be on the good side of Disney. Now, I will say Disney's pretty good. They've gotten better. And they used to be a little more difficult. I will say lately they've seemed to be really cool about this. But if you go into Doctor Strange 2 and you get to see the world premiere of it, and you come out, which I'm apt to do. I'm not saying I'm going to do this for Doctor Strange 2, but you come out and you just obliterate the movie. You say, this movie's terrible. Like, let's say it's not good. Let's just say, great example, Eternals. Eternals, I saw it the night before it opened. That was fair game at that point to say that movie's not great. But if you go to the premiere, go back and look. Go back and look at the tweets, the social reaction from people who were at the premiere, and look at what was said. And then look later about the film. The reviews versus social. And what you're going to see is a lot of times when you have those premieres, you're going to see journalists highlight, accentuate the positives because they know they want to get an invite again to the premiere of the next Disney movie, of the next Netflix movie, whatever it is. It's important for them to go to the premiere. And part and parcel with that is not obliterating the film when you walk out. I remember I walked out of The Irishman. I went to the premiere here in LA and I saw the Netflix rep. And said, what'd you think, Eric? I said, it's obscenely overlong. I mean, like an hour overlong. And I think Joe Pesci's the best part of the film. And to this day, I think I was right. I think it's 100% dead on. The film is like minimum 30 minutes too long, probably more than that. And Joe Pesci's the best thing in the film. So there you go. But the Netflix rep didn't love hearing that. I don't want to hear that. They're like, let's move on to the next person who says that it's great. This movie's going to win all the Oscars, which it won 0. So I always talk about being on the right side of a film. Is if you come out and praise a film and say it's the best movie ever made, and then it goes on to really kind of do nothing. No one's saying the Oscars are everything, okay? But I will say this. If it's the, quote, best movie ever made, there's a damn good shot it's going to get nominated for an Oscar, right? It should. It better. Because you just called it the best film ever made. I don't care what it is. If it's the best film ever made, then that means it better win multiple Oscars. Otherwise, Hollywood's really screwed. They can't identify anything, right? So I think that when you look at these things, you've got to be on the right side, and you can't get too high or too low on a film. It's very important. For those of you who want to get into film criticism, stay neutral as much as you can. Try to know as little as you can about the director, about everything about it, so that when you go in and you have these discussions in your head, you're thinking about, okay, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, all the pieces that you're trying to come up and formulate as you come up with your evaluation. You've got to be able to remain neutral in that so that you're not corrupted and you're thinking that, it's good because it's directed by this person. No, it's not. It's good if it's good, period. End of discussion, man. Doesn't matter who the hell directed it. The movie's good. If this was not, if The Northman was directed by somebody that other than Robert Eggers, who can, so be it. Then it's still a great movie. It's the same movie. It doesn't matter. The name shouldn't matter, and that's why I think it's important when you go in to review these films just to remain disconnected from them as much as you can, because that way you'll get people to believe when you say really positive words about a film. You're not just blowing smoke up their ass. You're literally telling the truth about a film. You're being real, okay? And that's one thing hopefully I've been able to access, is the ability to be real when a lot of people are not. They want to say what they want to say to get on a poster or to be on one of these FYC things, best movie ever made, whatever. Okay? First of all, other thing, you don't get paid to be on an FYC screener. If I quote's on there and it says, this movie kicks total ass, Eric Weber, no one sends a check. Nobody sends a check. You know what happens? Someone grabs the DVD, or you get an ad, you've seen it on Twitter, and someone goes, look, I was quoted. That's it. That's the end of it. There's no cash transaction that happens. Okay? There might be some access that happens, but I would hope that if you say it's the best movie ever, this movie kicks ass, you believe it. I would say that about Good Time. I'd say it about Lamb. I'd say it about Avengers Endgame, as I look behind me. Social Network, Moneyball. These are all movies that I would say kick total ass. Argo, Dune, Lego Movie. These are all movies I'd have no problem having a quote on. Conversely, there might be a film behind me that I didn't love as much. I'll look around. But the point is just be real. Be real. People want real. All right, let's go to the next one. Sorry, a little tangent there. Whatever, man. It's midnight movie talk. We'll do whatever we want to do here, God damn it. 15 million. Sorry, here, I just had it up there. I was sitting there forever there, Vault of the Future. 15 million seems pretty weak for a Michael Bay film. It does. And listen, Universal, like I said, they spent a ton of cash. These billboards are all over LA. They've gone hard on the television. Now, granted, Universal's owned by NBC Universal. Therefore, they can show as many commercials as they want, kind of like Disney and ABC, as we saw at the Oscars. They have the synergy. Let's do 16 Encanto songs during the Oscars. Well, how's that possible? That's weird. Oh, that's right. ABC is owned by Disney. Well, that makes sense. So, yeah, 15 million is pretty weak for a Michael Bay film. But I think that that's a number that it should be at. Okay? It does seem weak. And I think the expectations are definitely low. But it really comes back to me. It comes back to this for me. Jake Gyllenhaal. Can he open a movie? It seems like the nicest dude in the world. Never met him, but he seems super cool. I'd want to hang out with him. But the question remains: can that guy open a movie by himself? We're gonna find out this weekend. It's on his shoulders. Go back to Nightcrawler. Wasn't a huge box office success. Love the film. It's back here somewhere behind me. Love it. Love his performance. That movie was totally disregarded during award season. Is robbed. It should have been up for so much more, and including him for sure in Nightcrawler. But is he somebody who can open a film? That's a question that Hollywood always wants to know. Can you open a film by yourself? Remember, Chris Hemsworth had that opportunity with, was it Black Hat? The Michael Mann movie a few years ago, and that thing totally tanked, and he went back into Marvel and was like, I don't know. You haven't seen a whole lot of Chris Hemsworth, solo shots, because you have to be able to prove you can open a film. Otherwise, the studio's like, I don't think so. It's really just a it's a guess. I mean, they're hoping it'll happen. I'm sure Jake's agent really wants it to happen. I'm sure he does too. Yes, well, exactly. So it is. So lowered expectations. Gavin just saw Sonic and hated it. Thank you. See, I was actually too kind to this film, wasn't I? The wedding plot was awful, and I don't get why the climax wasn't at the temple. These are great questions. The wedding plot was bizarre. What the hell was that all about? Half the movie takes place in Hawaii. And then, I mean, it is really weird. I thought there was a couple moments that were funny in that, but it was strange. It's like, what's going on in this movie? There's Sonic on his own mission, and then, dude, whatever his name is, James Marsden, he's in Hawaii, and they have a wedding thing, and it's really strange. This is not a great movie. I would think I was kind by giving it 65%. But Gavin, thank you for backing me up. It's really just painful. How about that last half hour? You're just like, oh my God, get me out of this movie theater. That's never good when you're in that position. For Sonic, they could have cut all the Hawaii Shamar Moore scenes, and it wouldn't have affected the plot at all. I agree with that. Could have gotten the runtime to a much more reasonable 145. Yes, I came out and I said this movie needs to be at 140. Okay, 140. So that's about 25 minutes. It's like 2:05. Okay, so right about 2. Either way, it's 15, 20 minutes cut from the movie. That is huge. Less is more. Any directors out there, anybody who wants to be a director, please make your movies shorter. I'll say this during every single stream. Good Time is over my shoulder, and Uncut Gems is here somewhere. Good Time is much greater and much better than Uncut Gems because it's tighter. It's like 95 minutes. If Uncut Gems was the same length, I would probably have them rated about the same. But Good Time, the reason it's better is because it's shorter. Make movies shorter, please, for all of us. Make them tighter. Get to the point. Sonic this weekend, I've got it at about 65. The original was 58. So, Ben, I think that it's going to be 65 or higher. If anything, it'll go higher. I'll take the number plus versus the number minus whenever I do box office. So I would say 65 is the low end for me and up. So I think it's there because people are ready. No family films. The film will work. It's McDonald's crap that people will digest and think it's fine. It's not great, but they still will enjoy it. And it gets back to giving the audiences what they want. And families have had nothing. Batman was not a family movie. Stop telling me that. Not a 4-quad movie. 4-quad movie means young, old, men, women, all 4. Everybody who's available at the movies can go see it. And the Batman was not that. Young kids. You could take your kid, but do you want to sit by their bedside while they have nightmares? Right? Oh my God, the Riddler, when he taped that dude or he blew the guy up. I mean, come on, man. What kind of parent is that? All right, let's go to the next comment. Academy meeting about Will Smith tomorrow. That is correct. Yes, I want to talk about that. Thank you. I'll say aloha. I think it's Aaliyah. Aaliyah? I hope it's right. Yeah, they're meeting about Will Smith tomorrow, and I guess it's split. It's 50-50 what they're going to do. Are they going to take the Oscar away? I think they're not going to. I think they're saying it's close, and they're going to pretend they really thought about taking it, but I don't think it's going to happen because they don't want that weird, that year 2022 where the Oscar was voided because Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. I don't think they want to do that. They want it to disappear. They'll give it to him. I think they're going to. He already resigned from the Academy. Maybe they'll suspend him some way that he can't win for 5 years or something. I don't think it's going to be a lifetime. I feel like it's already dying down. When it first happened, what did I say? I said we need time. He needs time for this to go away. He needs other things to show up in the news cycle. And once that happens, then he can survive this thing, essentially. I told you from night one that every studio was going to say no to Will Smith for a while. I don't know how long that is. It's an indeterminable time. I have no idea what that's going to be, but it's not going to be a day or two. It's going to be a length of minimum of a couple years. He is going to be on the sidelines, but I think he gets to keep the Oscar. We're going to find out what happens with that hopefully tomorrow. Oh, one other thing to mention. Remember last Friday what happened with Will Smith? Will Smith resigned from the Academy at 4 o'clock on a Friday. What did I tell you guys about Friday afternoon news dumps? I used to work in news. Friday afternoon is the ultimate time to dump news of something because everybody is already thinking about the weekend. They're doing Saturday, doing Sunday. They're going out Friday night to get smashed at the bar. That is when you dump news. So look for it tomorrow about 4 o'clock our time. That means 7 o'clock East Coast, 4 o'clock Pacific out here in LA. The Academy's we've decided that Will can keep the Oscar, but he's going to be suspended for multiple years. 4 o'clock Pacific time, news dump on Will Smith tomorrow. I'm calling it now. In fact, I'm going to tweet it. So if any of you steal that, I'm going to dig up this tape and I'm going to say, and just tack it onto every tweet you guys send. It's going to happen tomorrow late. Let's jump over to Benjamin. 100% pretty bored by Uncut Gems. Yeah, Good Time rocks. Good Time is absolutely one of my favorite movies of the past decade. It is far better. Let me tell you how Uncut Gems is better. And if the Safdies, I've talked to the Safdies. I wish they were listening now. I'd tell them right now, make a new cut of Uncut Gems. Recut Uncut Gems. Here it is. Get rid of all the mining shit. It's gone. Goodbye, mining stuff. I know what you're trying to do. I just want it out of there. Or if it's there, it's short. It's tight. It's 30 seconds. All of the colonoscopy stuff, cut, goodbye, you're gone. Colonoscopies on the floor, all of it's out. The film if you can have the mining stuff if you want, very short, a minute, maybe a minute and a half. And then movie comes in on Sandler walking down the street on his phone. Boom, you're into the movie. Just like that. Better film. And then, of course, at the end, when he bites it, the movie's over. There's no colonoscopy. I know what they were trying to do. I understand what the effort, what they're trying to, look, okay, but it didn't work, and that's why the movie's not as good. I'm telling you right now, the movie's better. Studios, I'm available to hire. Bring me in. I'll tell you what to cut, and the movie will be better. I promise you. You know I'm right. I'm right about Uncut Gems. It's a better movie with those two things changed. Do you think lower budgeted adult movies will ever recover? I hope so. I mean, streaming's killed it. I mean, really is cut into it. Let's just say that. It's not dead. But you're looking at a situation where there's so many shows now on Apple, Netflix, Hulu. There's so much content that's good. I don't watch a lot of shows. I watch Ozark. I don't know what else. I watch Ozark. I've heard Severance is awesome. Everyone keeps telling me Succession. Last night, multiple people, you don't watch Succession. What the hell's wrong with you? Got to watch that. But there's so much quality television right now that I think that's the problem, is that getting people to leave their couch, leave their house, leave their stream, and go to the multiplex to see a movie, especially older folks that go to these movies like The Outfit, which was out a few weeks ago. That's a bad film. I don't care what anyone tells me. It's a focus feature. It did really poorly. That's hard. It's hard to get people to go see The Outfit at a movie theater, or The Contractor, the Chris Pine movie that was just dumped. That's one of the worst edited movies I've seen in forever, by the way, The Contractor. If you want to see a poorly edited film, like things jumping all, like can, like this, you know what I mean? Like just what's going on? Continuity, man. It's hard. It's going to be hard to get people to come from their house and then go to the multiplex to see movies. You got to give them a real reason. That's why I think Everything Everywhere All at Once has a chance this weekend, because it has so much buzz. I'm not a huge fan of it overall, but let's face facts. The truth is that the buzz is very high on that film, very high. And I think that it should be able to do a decent number, but it is a much more challenging environment right now for adult-oriented movies. Much more. And it will continue to be that way because there's only going to be more streaming services and more shows and more content. I mean, Apple is killing it. From what I can tell, everything that Apple touches, they put on their service is good. I love what Apple TV Plus is doing versus Netflix. Netflix just throws shit against a wall. Millions of things. Take a pick. It's Apple's like, here's our one movie. Go see A Ghost Story and maybe A Star is Born. That's it. These are our only two things. Netflix is like, pick from any of these things. That's the difference. Just went back and read some of the Eternals' first reactions. That's why I told you, Julian, I said, go back and look. What were those first reactions? Critics were 99% positive, calling it a masterpiece. Some comparisons to Ben-Hur. That's great. Do you see what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. They went to the Eternals world premiere down at the El Capitan. They block off Hollywood Boulevard. Everyone's out. They have all the shit there. The stars are there. And they come out. You go see Eternals, and you say it's a masterpiece. Listen, if you think Eternals is a masterpiece, if once you utter that, and it's listed, and Julian, feel free to tweet me who said that, I'm just curious, you kind of lose all credibility going forward. We can be wrong about films. Like, I mean, people think I'm nuts for saying that I'm not a huge fan of Everything Everywhere. I think it's overrated, but I don't think it's bad. But it's not a masterpiece. But no, come on. Eternals? Masterpiece? Really? Who says that? I mean, that's wrong. You're on the wrong side of history. This is subjective, but I will say this over. Don't be on the wrong side of history when it comes to films. And that, if you say Eternals is a masterpiece, you are on the wrong side of history. All right, little tonic water. Let's go to the next one. If Will Smith cannot be nominated for an Oscar, I'm guessing Apple TV will delay Emancipation. 100%. No, Emancipation is going to be delayed. That's the big film that they bid. They paid a ton for that film. There is no way that they are releasing that. That thing is on hold. No chance that Emancipation. In fact, I have it on awards ace right now as an Oscar contender. Obviously, given topic, given subject, given Will Smith before all this, I need to go back and revisit that because I think that's going to get shelved. It's not going to. Will Smith, anything that has to do with Will Smith is not going to see the light of day anytime soon. It's just too touchy. I mean, it's just not the right time right now. Do we know what the Safdies are working on next? No, I don't. I'm sure. Okay, so quick Safdie story for you. So I went to see Uncut Gems at an awards party here out in L.A., and I came out and I saw them, and I was super excited because I didn't love Uncut Gems, which is awkward, but I did really go overboard on Good Time because I loved the film. But when I talked to them, Benny and Josh, I talked to them, and both of them said the same thing. Said, would you be interested in directing a DC movie? And they both like, well, that would be cool if Warner Brothers asked that, but we're actually not. We want to do our own thing. They're directors. The two of them are absolutely directors that want to do their own stuff. They do not want a studio to tell them how to do their business. And there's so many directors like that. It doesn't matter what they tell you to do. Whatever they give you, they could say, hey, we'll give you $20 million, which is not going to happen, but let's just say $20 million to direct this. They're like, nah, we'd rather direct our small little indie project that we wrote and we have total control on, because A24 will give you that. They'll pretty much give you total control on a film. And I think even Focus gave Robert Eggers a lot of control. I don't know if it was complete control, but it was a lot of control. Let's just say most of the control. When you work for a studio, even Warner Brothers, who I believe gave Matt Reeves a really long leash to make the Batman, you can see it. But at the end, that climax feels like studio interference to me, especially when you talk about the end credits scene that, well, should have been an end credits scene, Joker. That should have been an end credits. But that feels like studio interference. They're saying, hey, listen, we got to put Joker in. So the Safdies don't want to deal with that. And I don't blame them. I mean, if you can get the financing for your film and make a film as badass as Good Time, and to a lesser extent Uncut Gems, I want to see whatever they're doing next. And I think that's it. Rose Glass is another one who, Kristen Stewart says she's going to work with her. Absolutely adore Saint Maud. I think I do consider that pretty much a masterpiece. I love Saint Maud, and if you ask Rose Glass, same question, would you want to work for a studio? She said no, and that's why she's making this next movie with Kristen Stewart, which is about a bodybuilder, a female bodybuilder, and I know Kristen Stewart plays some role. I asked Kristen Stewart what role. She didn't tell me. She didn't say she was playing the bodybuilder. So I don't know for sure. She might be, but she was very coy about it. But I was curious, like, which role are you playing? Because I was like, you're working with Rose Glass. It's my favorite movie of 2019 right there. I love that film. I love Saint Maud. So the Safdies are that same way. They're built from let's make our own movie and let's do our own thing. And there's a lot of directors like that. And I don't blame them. I would do the same thing. Let's see here. Back to Ben. I have not seen The Northman. I think it's not going to do well at the box office. Yeah, no question. I think that Focus is really trying to build some buzz and some heat for this film, and they did a pretty good job with it with the premiere in London and with a lot of the socials. Look at the social reactions. But I still think ultimately this is a very limited film. It's gory. I heard it's super graphic, violent, which we expected. It's not going to appeal to a very huge audience. It's very much of an art house film. And I think that's where it's going to stay. So that means an opening of like 5 or 6 million, and then kind of like X. I would say obviously it better do more than X, but look at what X did at the box office, and then you got something similar. Even though Northman's not horror, but it's close, right? With the savagery and the violence in it, certainly the graphic violence, it would put it closer to a horror film. So therefore, you'd have those. I would say X is a really good look, but I know that Focus would rather see it perform in the 10 plus and then continue to go. But again, it's just an art house horror, art house film because it's Eggers. So I don't think it's going to, absolutely smash. Hulu, I think Hulu is owned by Disney, right? Disney bought that. So Disney has that. They have Hulu, Disney, Apple, Netflix. Who am I leaving out here? Oh, Peacock. There's so many streaming services. There's just too many. And ultimately, that's what we're dealing with. We go, finish this up here tonight and appreciate everyone joining, is that it's going to be harder for those smaller films, for even a Northman, to break through the clutter when you have all these fantastic shows that I'm told are available for you on streaming. So that's always going to be a challenge going forward. But again, we're not going to see anything really great in the multiplexes as far as things that you would possibly see behind me down the road as an FYC kind of film. We're not going to see those until after September. You're not going to put a movie out right now that you think is going to be ready for Oscars 2023. It's impossible. Okay, it's not impossible because this film right here, Get Out, did it, but very few do. Black Panther did. A film that comes out early in the year, comes all the way through, and does really well at the Oscars. Coda did, but it came out in August, and that's a unique situation with Apple. I'm just telling you, we're not going to see anything major like great filmmaking. I don't expect until September, October of this year. I just think that's just what it is. One more comment. Let's see, we're here. We got a couple more. Still a win for Paramount, and critics don't love the film. Well, I think critics do, Gingy. I think critics don't hate it. I haven't looked at the Rotten Tomatoes. It's probably like half. It's probably positive because you're ultimately reviewing the film for what it is. But for me, I just didn't have as much fun the second time as I did the first. But Sonic will be enjoyed by families. I agree. It's McDonald's. It's McDonald's filmmaking. For those of you who enjoy that, there's nothing wrong with it. Let's see here, a couple more. Oh, the non-Kino cinephile. Hello, sir. Yeah, absolutely. We'll do some of these here, and we'll do some more spaces as well. But I appreciate everybody who's liked, subscribe here, and this is a fun time at midnight. Just get on and just shoot the shit about films. The House, Gavin. I haven't seen The House. I don't even know what The House is. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what that is. I'm curious. I will go Google that and look at it. But I'm always open. I love seeing small films that I maybe miss. I gloss over. The one from last year for me very, very easily is Funny Face. Funny Face is one of my favorite films of 2021. It is a tiny film on Gravitas Ventures. I love the filmmaking of that film. You need to watch Funny Face. Go find it. It is on streaming. Make sure you're looking at the right Funny Face. There's one in the 50s. This is the one from 2021. Find that movie and watch it. That's your assignment, because I promise you will love the filmmaking in that film. That's going to do it for our midnight movie talk on this Thursday, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and we will talk again very soon in the near future. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Good night.